Redonkulous now has a post office box. It's actually a unit, so we can get packages. We're gonna put the address on the screen, and then it'll be in the low bar. So if you guys want to mail in fan letters or booze or whatever else you want, that's fine. If you write any checks, make them out to secondclasscitizen.org because Redonkulous operates under that 501c, because that 501c exists to educate people about the dangers of family court, feminism, all of the fucking subjects in between, which I make fun of on my regular show. Hello everybody, Terrence Popp here with another episode of Live from the Lair. And today I got a couple questions over the past 6 weeks in regards to this. And reminded me of quite a few stories. So the question was basically, Sergeant Popp, in your time in the military, have you ever come across any fucking idiots, and what did you do about it? All right, well, let's just be honest. Idiots happen, okay? And you can never appreciate stupidity until you see it in its rawest forms. And in the Army, especially when you're in the the 9th Infantry Division, back in the day, before you actually needed a high school diploma or even a GED to get into the fucking Army, there was a lot of fucking craziness. And I saw a lot of stupid guys that they tried hard as fuck, but they were just knocked off. I mean, they got fucking shorted at the intelligence line when they were filing by to get their ration before they came out the fucking snot pocket and their meat soup missile here into the fucking world. So I did go out of my way to attempt to rehabilitate a lot of these guys. And a lot of them, just had shitty home life. I mean, their story was a goddamn country song. It was insane some of the crazy bullshit that these people put up with before they came into the Army. And I sure as hell wasn't going to go out of my way to make it any worse for them. Now, granted, I did fuck with them. I fucked with everyone pretty much to an equal degree. I was never one of those guys to just fucking pick on somebody endlessly and, I don't know, I just didn't I never got any enjoyment doing that. I kind of looked at it as dishonorable. But the first guy I ran into was in basic and AIT, and this individual, he was in, I think, the Georgia National Guard, and he was sent there by the Guard to go to basic and AIT. It was Infantry School. And he couldn't fucking read. He could not fucking read. I was at a loss. I mean, he couldn't read anything. And everyone fucked with him mercilessly. And I did in the beginning. And then, you can see it on his face that it bothered him a hell of a lot more than he would lead on. And so I just made it a point, because normally, when you're back in the garrison, you're not in the field, you get a lot of time off, to be honest with you. I mean, you go to the ranges, you come back, you got to clean up the fucking area. They inspect you like at 5 o'clock. You go to chow, come back, and then you just basically hang out there till the next morning. After you get done with basic, because during basic, during the night, they would come fuck with you, wake you up, and make you do stupid shit. But I'd take them in the day room and sit down and, I'd have them read out of the soldier manual. These little fucking pocket soldier manuals they used to give to each soldier. I probably still have mine somewhere. Why they don't do that anymore, I have no idea. But, you went through all your nomenclatures of all your weapons, your tanks. They even had some aircraft recognition in there, friend or foe. And he would read it, And I would be reading it with him, and then I'd make on the spot corrections, and he would sit there, well, I can't do it. I go, well, you're talking to me, right? He's like, yeah. Well, your mouth knows how to make all the fucking sounds to communicate. Now all we got to do is just get beyond the fucking craziness in your fucking thinking meat that's not allowing the words on the page to translate in your brain pan and then come out through your fucking cock holster in some type of reasonable, way of understanding. Because, like, when I say he couldn't read shit, like, he was fucking done. And I did that with him for the entire basic and AIT. We were pretty close. He was a good friend to me in basic. Watched my 6 on a few things. I remember, during a couple field exercises, he fucking fucked up his food or somebody stole it from him. I gave him some of mine. I've always been like that, though. I always share shit. So I don't know what happened to him, but by the time we got out of basic and AIT, he was probably reading at a 3rd or 4th grade level, which is not bad, because hopefully, I hope he's still alive and I hope he stuck with it, because I would like to know if all the fucking headache and frustration that I went through was worth it in that regards, to be honest with you, it is the job of all of the sergeants, NCOs out there to rehabilitate soldiers around them that are fucking up. Okay. Now, from my experience, now this is going to sound sexist. Do I really care? No, I don't. All right. For whatever reason, women they are not good at rehabilitation. They are not. They're good at just ripping you apart and then fucking processing you out of the service. Very little corrective action that they will do, from what I've seen. Now, in my 33 years, I don't think I've. There was a couple guys that that I went after that were not rehabilitatable, and that was because they were, lying and risking soldiers' lives and lives of their men, and just doing some reprehensible shit. Okay, so I'm not gonna say I never fucking went after anybody, but for the most part, I always would give a soldier the benefit of the doubt. And I got my ass chewed hundreds of times because of this. And every time I'd get fucking waylaid, I'd be like, fuck it, I'm not doing that again. And then, sorry, I need some fucking help. And I'd be like, here we go again. Fuck, all right, let's go. I never let her beat me down. Now, in the 9th ID, I showed up there. There was quite a few lost souls, very bitter. I don't know what they were thinking the Army was going to be, like a parade every day, and then you come back to the barracks and your dick sucked by some fucking crazy, barracks whore or something. I don't know. And they were fucked up. And I can't tell you how many times I'd be doing something, and the guy next to me would fucking not be doing his fucking job, and I'd be like, hey man, by you doing what you're doing, you're fucking me and you're fucking everyone else on this detail. So stop being a dick and do your fucking job. And that worked out pretty good. When I left the 9th ID, there was about 3 or 4 guys who thanked me for helping them out, because they were going through some rough patch and it was fucking with them, and then I kept them in the service. I had one guy, his mother and father were killed in an auto crash, and he went home on emergency leave, threw him in the dirt, did the whole fucking deal, and then he came back and he was a completely different dude. It was like somebody had just broke his fucking will. He was just fucking smoked. And the chaplain would come out and give you the fucking, read the good book says this and proverb, blah. Yeah, okay, that only goes so far. All right. But I can recall, getting up for PT. I'd get up early, go to his room, kick on his door till he opened it, making sure he got in fucking uniform, march his ass down to fucking formation, and we did PT. And I did that with him for a good 3.5, 4 months before, he started pulling out of the funk he was in, which I fully understand. I'm not saying that, he was weak or anything like that, but, granted, shit happens in life. People are going to die. People stab you in the back. Your family's going to betray you. Granted, do what you can to not have that happen twice, but don't quit on life.
Don't have enough money saved up for retirement? Thought you could rely on Social Security? Wee? What are you, stupid or something? Well, don't worry, because Aaron Clary is going to tell you how it is, and has created a retirement system for everyday Americans who enjoy their whiskey. Not that we would know about that or anything. Pick up Richard's Retirement on Amazon in both paperback and Kindle. A link is in the description.
All right. Now, when I became an E5 in the Ranger Battalion, since I got to the Ranger Battalion, I was a tabless E4. I was the pariah. Everyone hated me. And I got all the jobs that nobody else wanted, which was actually pretty cool. I was a Jeep and bike driver. I was a sniper. Then I became a sniper section leader. I did scout swimmer. It was pretty good time. But when I became the sniper section leader, basically, when the word went out that they needed to fill the sniper section, I was picked as the sniper section leader because, I was just a tabless E4 and nobody wanted me around. And then all the other people I got into the sniper section were all the fucking castaways from the other fucking platoons. So I got really good at taking up the broken soldier, or retreading him, and turning him into something good. And I remember this one guy, he was just a fucking dick. He fucking always roll his eyes, fucking didn't like fucking doing anything. I actually had to fucking put the gloves on him and fuck him up once. And he turned him around, and I believe when I left the battalion, he had re-enlisted and was on the best Ranger team. Now, I don't know if he was primary or alternate, because I didn't really track that. I myself was on the best Ranger team a couple times, but I was always alternate because I could not do more than like 91 sit-ups in 2 minutes. When some of the guys on the team could do like 117, 115, and I just couldn't do it. And I couldn't run faster than basically a 13:10 2 miles. I lifted weights, I was bigger, and that does have a detriment on your long-term endurance. I went to Ranger School while I was the sniper section leader, so I went to Ranger School and they brought in another E5 to take it over. And then I later got the section back when he ETS'd. But there's always rehabilitation to be done. All right. And you don't have to necessarily be in the military to do it. And any good man should be able to look around his fucking life and see someone that's fucked up or fucking up, and you don't have to carry him, but try to help him out. Try to rehabilitate him. Be the good example. Show him what the deal is. Are you going to get rewarded for it? Probably not. In fact, you're not. But it's still the right thing to do. All right. Now, I didn't really realize it at the time, but that rehabilitation ability I have would come into full swing when I moved over to Company F425 Airborne Infantry, it was a Michigan National Guard unit, and I went there after I left 12th Group Special Forces. Because pretty much everyone there at 12th Group, they were squared away. I mean, when you get to that level, everyone wants to be there. They're all a Type A personality for the most part, or they have a boatload of drive like I did, and they make shit fucking happen. So that really wasn't a big deal. Then I moved over to the 425, was a Lair's team leader, and I had a couple of guys get put on my team that they were less than good. Let's just put it this way. Because the National Guard pool of individuals you pick from is very small. So you got to work with what you got. And I remember I had a couple of guys that were just not there, man. And like I had this one guy, I think we called him Demerol. Because he just always had this look on his face. Like his light bulb was struggling for enough power to think. All right, he was just a fucking idiot. And we would do these long movements, and he'd put on all this rain gear, and I'd be like, dude, yeah, I know it's raining, but in about 2 miles, you're going to be soaking wet with sweat. But he would put it on anyway, and I'm like, okay, whatever. And then he would fuck up, would give him water, make him take the shit off. And he ETS'd, I don't know what happened to him. I was earmarked to be the first platoon sergeant, so I got moved over to selection and training platoon. And I moved all of the good guys while I was doing that for a year and a half. I moved them all over to first platoon. So first platoon basically had the pick of the litter. Every fucking team was full, 100%. They didn't have any sick, lame, or lazies. And that first platoon sergeant retired. His name was Sergeant First Class Coyle. I learned a lot from that guy. He was great. And I was the first platoon sergeant for about 3 months. And then one day we go to drill, and we got a new commander. We call him, we called him Captain Terminac. But he was really called Durkak. I think he's a colonel now, or 1-star general in the system. And it's still in the Michigan National Guard. I'm not sure. But he gave this fucking wicked ass fucking ass chewing to the entire company. And before I knew it, I was stripped away from 1st platoon and moved over to 3rd platoon. Because the sergeant who ran 3rd platoon prior to me started off with like 32 guys and ran it down to 4. And he was basically fired, showed the door, and I picked up 3rd platoon. And before I left 1st platoon, because I was furious, and a lot of guys that were in that platoon, I promised them I'd get them promoted. So I took pretty much everyone that was in my team, I moved them over to 3rd platoon with me. So it was me and like 5 other guys. So at the end of the day, I had 9 people. And the word went out that there was a new platoon sergeant. So a lot of the guys who were like no-shows started trickling in the onesie twosies. Now, I did have a problem with a couple of guys that actually unfucked their lives down the road. And they would come in and they'd drill on Friday, and then they might show up on Saturday and come on Sunday, or they'd show up on Saturday or not on Sunday. And that went on for a little while, and I remember I said, listen, man, if you don't fucking come to drill, I am going to kick your fucking ass. And they didn't believe me. And I remember these 2 individuals went out drinking, and the next morning only one of them came to formation late. I remember I went to my car. I always carried my gear in a big black bag, hockey bag. And I threw out 2 sets of headgear, 2 sets of gloves, and 2 sets of groin protectors. And I even threw him a fucking mouth guard. And he starts off, oh yeah, I used to do the boxing smokers in the 82nd. I'm like, oh great, you know what you're doing. And I beat the shit out of him. Like I didn't hit him there was no cheap shots or anything like that. There was a lot of body shots. I knocked him on his ass probably about half a dozen times before the lieutenant said, to stop. So we took the fucking gloves off and threw all the shit in a bag. And I remember he immediately got on his fucking cell phone and called his compatriot in crime and said, hey, this new platoon sergeant just kicked my ass. He's not fucking around. So this other soldier that decided to go, do his own thing, I lost track of him for a while. But this is a few years later. I was at Lifetime Fitness working out, and lo and behold, I call him Evil Dwarf, because he used to lift a lot. He was in there working out, and I remember I walked up behind him, and he's looking at me at the mirror, and I could see the look on his face like, oh. And I said, it's all right, man. I'm not going to bust your balls, all right? But I'm just going to let you know that, the word is we're going to get deployed. You don't want to be the guy who fucked around and didn't fucking deploy because you're being a fucking asshole. Are you going to really go through the rest of your life with that on your conscience? And 2 weeks later, he shows up. We get him back in the 3rd platoon. I smoked him for a little while. But it is what it is. And he later on, he went to Iraq with us. He did a great job. He was the one that loaded and fired, I think, 3 or 4 boxes of Mark 19 ammo on a Humvee without a lick of fucking armor on it, driving 60 miles an hour while being shot at by hundreds of motherfuckers. And all he got was an ARCOM. What a bunch of bullshit. That's a Bronze Star with a V device if I ever heard one. But that's just my opinion. And then we came back from Iraq, and I think he picked up a full-time recruiter gig, and he'll be retiring out of the service probably in the next year and a half as a E7 or E8. Good on him. He unfucked his life. And if I had not stepped in and talked to him in that regard, he probably would have kept doing what he's doing, and he would not be where he is today. All right. There's so many rehab stories because I did it all the time. And I remember I had a couple of female soldiers throughout the years that I would go out of my way to assist. Out of the 4 women that come to mind, 2 of them are still in the service and kicking ass and taking names. The other 2 are out of the service. They did their time and they're getting on with their lives. And I'm not taking anything away from them. They were honorably discharged. They did their deal. They stood on the wall with the rest of us for their allotted time, and then they went home. There's no shame in that. But yeah, man, woo. Rehabilitation. I don't know. Maybe I'm a sucker, but I've always been that guy who took pity on dudes and tried to help them. There were times where they wouldn't accept my help, or they would take my help and then just keep fucking up and just go right back to their old fucking ways. And I'll help them out in the beginning, but once I realize what they're doing, then I'm like, okay, when you're really ready for me to assist you, come find me.